Hey, this is Zach Log the Great, and I am here tonight with my friend Travis.
Hello.
And with Nate.
Hey.
And Nate's Ice Cream Bar.
Ha!
Good, because I was wondering if it was still there. I was like, did I just ruin that? Anyway, and we are getting together tonight to talk about number 63 from A.E. Housman's collection, A Shropshire Lad. Not titled, just numbered. Hey, works for Shakespeare. So, you know. Travis has volunteered to read the poem for us tonight before the discussion. Before we get to that, I did want to remind everyone, if you like my work, if you would like to support what I do, you can go to subscribestar.com/Zachlog-the-great and sign up to support me on a regular basis. And the link will be in the show description. Having said that, Travis is going to read the poem for us tonight. So I'm going to put that up on the screen, and he will take over for a minute.
Okay.
When you're ready.
Before I read it, can I just say that is a good-looking dude and a very fine mustache.
that is not a bad picture of him. Yes. And yes, he's got the he definitely has the manly mustache down. I suppose at some point I'll have to get my own back. Unfortunately, some parties very closely involved are not a fan, so I don't really get to keep it, but I can get it. I can have a mustache and beard once in a while. Photographic commentary aside, Travis, when you're ready.
All right. I hoed and trenched and weeded and took the flowers to fair. I brought them home unheeded. The hue was not the wear. So up and down I sow them for lads like me to find when I shall lie below them a dead man out of mind. Some seed the birds devour and some the season mars, but here and there will flower the solitary stars. And fields will yearly bear them as light-leaved spring comes on, and luckless lads will wear them when I am dead and gone.
Okay. Stop screen sharing. Say goodbye to Hausman's handsome photo. All right. And now we have Nate back on the screen, and we are all the less for it.
Yeah. I just have to remark that is the absolute record for Let's Get Back to the Poem. We hadn't even read it yet.
That's a good point. Yes.
Bravo, everyone. Good work. Viewer, you are seeing history made. You can't get more off track faster than that.
I just remembered one other thing I was supposed to do before we started, which I wanted to plug in my headphones. It's been a while since I've done this, so I'm out of practice. Anyway, I will do that while I'm doing that. So, Nate, would you like to give your initial thoughts on this one here?
I plant loser flowers. That's my title for the poem. I worked really hard on these flowers and nobody cared, so now I plant them so that freaking nerds can wear them later on and be sad because they can't get no chicks. The hoeing is not going well, as they say. Yeah, I'm like, okay. I mean, if the flowers brought you no luck, why are you afflicting the future generations with them? Grow a better flower. Find a guy who's got like all the success and be like, hey dog, what kind of flowers you keep in your pocket? And plant them. Help us all out. No, you're planting dork daisies, and everybody's gonna be like, why can't I get anything done? Okay.
I won't lie. I had a hard time connecting with the poem as well. I had a similar sort of feeling.
I feel like I connected with about 3 solid hooks there, but that was about it.
Well, okay. So I really liked this one, but also I really liked it because I immediately latched on to a particular interpretation. And that interpretation is not like right out on the face of it. It does take a little thinking it. But like to me, this is A.E. House, and especially I think this is the last one in the book. Let me double check. This is the last one.
I was really hoping there were 6 more.
That too. Yes. Okay. It is the last one in the book, which is part of why I came to this conclusion. Like, basically, this is him talking about his writing. And he's like, or Nate, were you already there and you still think he's a nerd?
A little bit.
Okay.
No, like I was arriving there as you said it. I was like, last one in the book, huh? Okay. I see where we're going.
So
and it is still on freaking just nerd drive. It is Main Street Dorksville. I mean, so it kills me. I mean, as a brother of the Mustache Clan, how can you do that to me?
And so, to get back to what I was saying, like, basically, this is him saying, like, I wrote these things. I put this out into the world. Nobody's paying attention right now. Like, it's not getting, what I want.
It's not in fashion, basically.
It's not in the fashion. So, I'm just going to put these in a form where it's going to last and people can come back later, and maybe 50, 100 years from now, someone is going to find these and say, wow, this is really nice.
Or they might say it's Dorksville. You never know.
and some people might be less impressed. But like, to me, like, I read this and I'm like, oh, I'm the person on the other end of this transaction. I'm the person who found his flowers. And yeah, sure, I'll wear this one. And yes, let's see, what is it?
Do you then consider yourself a luckless lad?
In some respects, you could say that. Yes. I'm not going to say no luck, but in some respects, you could say I could have had better. So I don't know.
Adam and Eve might not have sinned, but and Eve could have been like, tell you what, instead of that fruit, how about I fry up this snake? If she'd have been a Cajun, we wouldn't have these problems.
Is that I think I sent is that from what I sent you a couple weeks back?
I'd heard it before then, but it brought me back to it, and I really enjoyed this chuckle.
If Adam and Eve had been Cajuns, they would have eaten the snake too. But so Travis, how about you? Are you kind of on Nate's side here?
Well, I mean, my first couple of readings, I was there, but then I was, looking, what's underneath it. I didn't connect it to writing specifically necessarily, but that does add a nice touch, and especially knowing that it's the last poem. I do like the imagery in the third stanza, but here and there will flower the solitary stars. Just comparing a flower to a star, a single flower, and it is a striking image. I mean, I think of when I was moving my parents from the farm out to the house that my grandparents lived in, and then my parents were then moving into. There was just this single red tulip in the middle of the hayfield, just off the edge of the lawn, and it was just a very striking sight and totally unexpected to see a flower. I hadn't seen a flower in the hayfield, but I haven't seen one since. But it was, just that solitary star concept is, I don't know. It's a nice image. Yeah.
Well, also in the third stanza, especially some seed the birds devour and some the season Mars. And also this is another reason why I think he's talking about his poems and his ideas, is because that the first line definitely parallels one of Jesus's parables, where Jesus said, the sower went out to sow his seed, and some fell on the hard ground, and some fell here, and some fell there. And like one of the things that happened to some of it was that birds came and stole it, and so that didn't grow. And so he's, again, to me, that kind of that parallel naturally points to he's talking about ideas. What ideas is he talking about? These very poems. And so, yeah, like I said, for me, I really liked this because I pretty much felt like Housman was reaching out directly to shake my hand. Like, hi, nice to meet you, person 100 years after I'm dead. I don't know the date off the top of my head, but yeah, nice to meet you, person long after I'm dead, who is, finding these and reading these and finding something here. I'm glad you liked my flowers, even though I'm never going to see you pick them and wear them and give them to your girl and maybe get laid. So
I guess
poems and flowers, man.
I just, man, like, I get where you're coming from with that, but have more confidence in your stuff. Like, even if these Philistines around me can't appreciate, the art that I'm handing to them, at least, liken it to a pearl or like hidden gold. Not like, my flowers are trash, nobody wanted them. Be like, yeah, nobody could open open the cask of this treasure. They couldn't delve the hidden depths, of this gold mine that I opened up for them. Be proud of what you've done instead of being like, yeah, whatever. No one cares.
But look at the first. He doesn't say his flowers were bad. He says the hue was not the wear. No,
I get it. Like,
it just wasn't
the time. I don't know. It still just strikes me as being very much a downbeat, where it's just like, man, I'm a luckless man. I wrote poems nobody likes. Man, I wrote some bangers. They weren't ready for you yet. The kids are gonna love it. And so I guess
pull a Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, like the bones are there. It's just that the way he puts it, it just seems, just so big. There's a wet rag on top of the whole thing.
If go ahead, Travis.
When you take your harvest to market, and it's completely turned down, everyone passes it up, you're going to be a little depressed, walking home from market, I guess. And I don't know, the choice of flowers is interesting because, yeah, they're kind of good for the day and then they're done. It's like if they don't buy them today, can't really go back and sell them tomorrow. It's sort of an ephemeral object.
Well, and at the same time, there's the ones that he picked. There's also the ones that he plants. And something you plant, unlike, for instance, a treasure chest sitting there, like, it grows and it can multiply, and there can someday be far more, which also can happen with ideas, even if it's out of the fashion at the time. If someone picks it up. Go ahead.
And he says, and fields will yearly bear them. So these are perennials. Is that the ones that come up every year? I don't know my flowers. Yes. So,
Well, I mean, there's perennials are there all the time. That's why they're perennial. I think annuals bloom at a certain time in the year. Like the plant exists.
But a lot of them have to be planted each year. Like they don't survive to come up again the next year. That's an annual.
Like the seed. Well, that's why he's talking about the seeds. Like, the new plants are going to grow from the seeds that the old plants have made. They're going to be volunteer seedings. At the same time, he's not talking about there's going to be a field of these things either. He's talking about the solitary star. He's like, even in the future, it's only going to be a couple of people here and there. It's not like you're growing a carpet of clover somewhere. It's like, got to blanket out the whole place. Baby's going to grow like Bermuda grass. Get wrecked. I mean, a rose bush, something that sticks around. It's there. You're like, hell yeah. I got to do something about this. Not just, no, I saw that. It was interesting.
What was, oh, crud. Where's, sorry, I'm just thinking of a Shakespeare poem where he, there's one of his Shakes, wait, there it is. Sonnet 18, which is, I believe, immediately after the end of the procreation sonnets, which Nate was growing tired of.
He did like 4 in a row. It's like, hey,
yes,
you should have kids. You're dope. You're sexy. Have kids. You should have kids. Carry on your awesome dopeness. Yeah. I'm like, Billy boy, it's getting awful.
Anyway, to return to where I was going with that, in Sonnet 18, he says he's saying like how beautiful his love is, and he says like but someday you're gonna grow old and someday you're gonna die, but I wrote this in praise of your beauty, and as long as people can read, this is going to live on and give life to you. He's like, this stuff I'm writing right now, people are going to be reading forever. And it's like, is that a little bit more the self-confidence you're talking about?
Yes. You will achieve everlasting fame through my words because they're good.
Which reminds me of something we said when I said we were talking about Ozymandias. Like, you tick off a king, he might have you executed. You tick off a great poet, you may be mocked throughout all of human history following you. So, I guess it's a question of priorities, but...
Or you tick off, you piss off enough copper buyers in, ancient Mesopotamia, and yours is the oldest name in recorded history. Freaking A.N. Nasir. Jackass.
I do not know this one. Did you want to fill it in? Or?
Okay. Yeah, here's the thing. Some of the oldest cuneiform tablets we have are like complaints. They're like administrative complaints that they ordered copper from this guy and he delivered them the wrong grade of copper and then refused to make it right. And here's the thing. They found a lot of these in one place and they figured out eventually it was that guy's house. He stiffed people and then kept the complaint letters in his house to be like, ha, ha, ha. You chumps. Old Ian the Seer, gotcha. And so, yeah, the biggest asshole from like 7,500 years ago, we know who he is because he kept the complaint letters. So, I mean, I don't know. Takes a certain kind of person to make history.
Let's see. So, I don't know. I feel pretty derailed from where I kind of thought this was going to go. So I don't. Let's see.
I just want more confidence. This is verging into that sort of namby-pamby stuff that, like, you know, poets do, where it's like.
Well, I'm just kind of curious why he chose luckless lads will wear them when I am dead and gone. Like, that's an interesting choice. I mean, does he figure anyone that's reading poetry must be out of luck and, you know, not getting laid?
Well, I
mean, it
see.
seems
Well,
like
I don't
on the whole thing right now. Like, he's like, yeah, me and anybody who's going to be drawn to me is just got nothing going on. I'm like, dang.
I mean, if you read through the whole collection, it's not a very cheerful book. Almost all of them are about death in some way. So,
Man, he needs to get the muscle out of his mustache, wax that baby up, and hit the town. I mean, come on.
Well, he probably had some serious depression issues. As many writers do.
Maybe he needs to read the first several Shakespeare sonnets and
get jazzed to exist.
Yeah. I'm like, and look, I have been depressed in my time, and I found some stuff I wrote on an old jump drive, and I was like, woo! Glad that never a while. That would be super embarrassing.
Yeah, exactly.
I grew out of it.
I have her. I do remember. I think it was an interview with like someone from one of the the lyricist from Sixpence None the Richer, and he's like, the thing a lot of people don't take into account, like, is like, and you know, a song goes out on an album, and like that's permanent, like that's out there. But at the same time, when you wrote it, it may have been just kind of the mood of a moment. It may not have been something you really, believed in. It may not have been something that's, a long period of your life. It may have just been that afternoon and, the combination of, the timing and your, kind of inspiration, and you create this thing. And so, although, like I said, this is an entire book. There's 63 of them.
Yeah, I was just going to point that out.
So,
and here's the thing. I like the style in which it is written. Like, it's clean. It's not overly embellished, but like it draws nice lines between things. You're like, yeah, okay, it's a pleasant read. It's just that what it's saying pisses me off.
And that's actually something related to something I was thinking about a while back. Actually, kind of related to my own book I wrote, because like I kind of see this in terms of like talking about art in general, like books or poems or songs. You can have well done, like well crafted, or badly crafted. You could have like those two things. It could be a very well done movie. It could be a poorly made movie. And you can also have like morally good and morally bad. And morally good is not always going to match with the well-crafted. And a morally bad piece of art is not always going to be badly done, badly executed. And so, like, looking at how that chart works out, like, what's a like morally terrible message that was very well done artistically, and like that gets pinned up in that corner, and it's kind of a. I would love to see how different people lay out, lay out things on that chart, because it's now. I mean, because it's an interesting thing, and also like I said, if there's you know if something is artistically well done but carries a negative moral message, should we praise the art but not the like? What do you do with that? Or on the other hand, if something is propounding a morally good message but the art that goes into it is terrible, I mean, we should say something about the fact that this is really badly done, and if you're serving a good message, you should be able to you should put the work in to purvey it better, or as well as you can. Then again, I guess people have different levels of talent, so maybe that was as good as that person could do. Anyway, fortunately for us, as the past few years, as the moral level of a lot of the art being produced is going down, so is the quality. And so it's very easy to disengage from it, because it's like, wow, this is downright evil, and also it's really stupid, and I have no interest.
Well, see, that's the thing. When the ambient, sort of when the standards drop morally, they tend to drop across the board. And so, laziness really gets to come out. And hey, guess what? Everything sucks now. And so, yeah, you're right. It could be that you had a really horrible person grow up in a moral society, so they at least learned some values. And that shows through in their evil opus. And you're like, man, that is astoundingly clever and insidious and destructive. We got to be on our guard versus that. And then give it 50 years and you've got Nicki Minaj. And you're like, I've seen gorillas do better. Do better with the exact same messaging and methods.
Yeah, it's
side of a hip hop video, female gorillas like displaying that they were in heat, and I was like, oh no. At least the gorillas don't have irritating music.
I've seen the same comparison, I think. So yeah, and it's also it's thinking of like what belongs where on that chart. I suspect Oscar Wilde would go on the well executed but morally dubious at best. A lot of his. I don't know where else to put what, but anyway.
Good message, bad execution side.
So, without extending the Housman bashing, I don't know if we're gonna go too much farther with this one.
I'm sure we can find something else to talk about before you bring us back to the poem, though.
I think it's like it's not a good or bad message, It's kind of okay. I see what you're saying, and to give him his credit, I like things that are like, I'm planting a tree in whose shade I'll never sit. You know, I'm putting something down to be there for the guys coming
Could you
along.
just be a little bit more hopeful about it?
I'm like, come on, man. It's like, yep, nobody wanted my flowers, and nobody's gonna want the people that have them later. I'm gonna plant them anyway. Might as well.
I'm planting a tree in whose shade I will never sit.
Flowers aren't even gonna do well. You know, they'll struggle through just like I have. And then some poor turd's gonna be like, oh, I want me a flower. I'm gonna get this one that's barely alive. Okay. Put it in me poor raggy buttonhole here. Get bounced by the bobby. It's a bad day. I'm just like, Argh. I've been reading a lot of
planting a
few days, and so I'm just like, no, we're gonna sit down strong roots. We're gonna grow a big family, tall sons and pretty daughters. Yeah. I'm like,
I'm planting a tree in whose shade I will never sit, and the people who will eventually sit under it are losers.
Yeah. They're gonna get, it's like, yeah, the people who do sit under it, well, it's gonna drop limbs on them.
Okay, Travis, how about you? Any last thoughts for tonight?
Well, I was just thinking about that image of the tree, and the people sitting under it will be losers. There's something to that, because if they're sitting under the tree, that means they're not out in the field working.
Well, I mean, but like even the people who go out and work hard, they do need some time.
I agree, but yes, I was just playing with that a little bit. I get it.
They set down their scythe after they cut all that stuff and left that tuft of flowers by the creek.
I just realized, and I don't know whether this is gonna. I just realized this is actually a little bit of the same story as Robert Frost's tuft of flowers.
Yes.
Except he's depressed.
Robert Frost's tuft of flowers, has two guys that are like meeting, being like, strong and productive men and having a moment of beauty together and not being like, okay. It's not like he showed up in the field, like was cut up to the flowers, and then there's like a sickle, just tossed into the grass, and then a trail where the guy just walked off with his head hanging.
Okay. Well, at least it's been entertaining. No, we can't deny that one. Nate, Travis,
sorry,
anyone who is
beat him up, but
well, I mean, I do have to say the discussions where someone comes in and is just like, "This is awful." They tend to be entertaining. So I've had that with Jeffro a couple of times. So it does make for an interesting talk. All right. Thank you both for joining us. And
I just saw something.
Okay.
So up and down I sow them for lads like me to find. And then the last part is, and luckless lads will wear them when I am dead and gone. So he does. He sees himself as a luckless loser. Lads like me to find, and he's saying these luckless lads in the future will find them. He considers himself a loser.
Even in my deepest emo days, wearing the blackest of pants and shirts, under my black bucket hat, with my 50 caliber bullet in a coil necklace, and being all like, freaking like, hunched over and skinny, never saw myself as a luckless loser. I was like, I am a misunderstood genius. Like, I am made out of shadows and smoke, and people can't seem to grasp the essence of who I am. But it's so cool, though.
does.
I'm not cool. No one cares.
Well, that does raise an interesting question. Which is worse, the person who the person who shouldn't feel like that about himself but does, or the person who like has a massively overinflated opinion of himself, and if he honestly assessed himself, he'd be like, "Wow, I'm kind of a loser." But doesn't think that.
Well, the first
hand,
tends to do less damage in the world, I would say.
That's true. But for likability, on the one hand, I give people a lot of points for, self-awareness. On the other hand, just the droopy ones annoy me sometimes.
What's the
I wanted to hang out with Eeyore.
Well, that's because a droopy flower is sad. That's why they annoy you.
What's the I'm trying to think of the cartoon character. There's a I think it's a Hanna-Barbera character, and it's a dog, this like dog, and he talks like,
okay.
Yeah, that's exactly him. What's his name?
Droopy Hound. Oh. Friggin' Droopy Hound. I mean, come on.
I think I liked him more than Eeyore. Droopy still managed to be entertaining even while being depressed, whereas Eeyore is just like, please, no, I'm stop.
Hey.
Well, isn't there a Charlie Brown character that's a little that way too?
Yeah, Charlie
Brown.
Right.
Yes, Charlie Brown is 100% the guy on the other end of this A.E. Housman poem.
Like, oh, these are the Housman flowers. I'm just gonna pick some. Then frickin' Lucy comes along and like punches him in the dick and throws the flowers away. And it's like this Linus comes up and it's like, I'm a Chad. What's up? I appreciate these flowers because they persevere. And then everybody's like, that's so brilliant, Linus. And Charlie Brown's like, but I like them too. And like, no one cares, Chuck. God. Tripping over all my landmines today. I hate that kind of character. Get some bark on you, boy, for God's sake. Kick Lucy next time. Leave the football alone.
Okay. Well, thank you both for joining us tonight.
You have to say it.
But I don't have anything else to say about the poem. I'm not getting back to it because
all right.
To finally leave the poem beaten and bloody in the head. Beat it up and took his lunch money and it didn't even fight back.
All right. Well, thank you both for joining us tonight. Thank you to everyone still hanging with us, and God be with you.
And also with you.